To make a choice, you need someone to devise and articulate those choices. We assume that we are that person and that the mind is the executor. We are the mind. We control our brain. This is how we think and how we act. In the third dimension, we choose from state A to convert into state B. This can be a displacement in space. This can be a displacement in time. This can be a displacement of a thought, an idea, or a belief. Making a decision is then an active choice. However, there is also a passive choice. An event happens to us. Again, this can be related to space, time, or something abstract connected to our identity. How we see ourselves and or the other in relation to ourselves. Whether we initiate that choice or it is imposed upon us, we are convinced that we, the I, are the center of that choice. According to neuroscience, this is not the case at all. Your brain makes decisions up to 10 seconds before you are even aware of them. 10 seconds. This means that the voice in your head saying, "I have decided," is not the decision maker. It is the narrator. It tells you a story about a choice your brain has already made. This is not only an amazing fact, but it is also one of the most practically important things you can understand about yourself. Because if your conscious mind doesn't steer your decisions, what does? Your subconscious patterns, your identity, deep-seated beliefs, and the self-image your brain has built up through your life. Your brain doesn't ask itself, "What do I want to do?" but rather, "What would someone like me do?" And then it acts. And then it tells you that you have decided. This is why changing your behavior without changing your identity never works in the long run. You are not fighting bad habits. You are fighting a brain that makes decisions for you even before you realize it. Change who you think you are and your brain starts making completely different decisions, even before you are aware of it. The choice or decision about what you are going to do in the future also turns out not to come from you. It appears that your mind decides on your state from a conditioned state, not you, and your authenticity. The problem with your conditioned mind is that it projects and produces a future self that always lives in circumstances your current self has not created yet, causing the present moment to constantly feel like a waiting room. That waiting room is not real at all. Not at all like reality. Neuroscience calls this an effective prediction error. Your brain is generally convinced that the future circumstances will produce a feeling that only a current state of your nervous system can actually generate. The peace, the ease, the sense of arrival you are waiting for, however, does not lie in future circumstances. It lies in the regulation of your nervous system now. You are not waiting for your life to begin. You are not waiting for your nervous system to feel safe enough to be fully present in it. The problem of how your mind works and how reality, your definitions of yourself and your choices follow you are totally two completely different problems with two completely different solutions. In 3D, it is not you who thinks. It is your programming that thinks for you. In 3D, you are the experiencer of a pre-program. We will simply call this your subconscious or unconscious programming. Your subconscious directs your behavior and your decisions, your choices, fueled by collective patterns, traumas, biases, and historical misinformation. That is our 3D perspective. Our 4D perspective is the emphasis on certain ideas about ourselves and the connected inner and outer reality of that. Where our attention goes, that is where our choices go. And we choose from old programming and repeat it. This repetition is our 4D reality. We are emotionally attached to things and repeat those, both in a positive and a negative sense. It is only in 5D, when we connect with the soul, that we begin to notice our choices, our patterns, our programming. Only through conversation, communication, and reflection with our higher self do we discover in which ingrained structures and thought patterns we are stuck. We call this learning. First, we traverse thought structures and timelines, experiencing them without further input. Through frequent repetition, we arrive at awareness. Through repetition, confrontation, and reflection, we begin to recognize patterns there. We start to question them, whether these are functional, good for ourselves. We learn to think after the events have occurred. That is called reflecting, not thinking. We think neither in 3D nor in 4D. We reflect. We think after things have already been decided, when we have already chosen. We choose and prefer an identity. We choose who we are, often unconsciously, and we call this unconscious programming. We call this reality. Only from the fifth dimension on do we rise above the surface. Through contact with our soul or higher self, we obtain information from outside the ego mind. The soul exists outside 3D and 4D programming. From 5D on, we rise above that programming. We ascend, so to speak, the matrix. But rising above the matrix does not mean that we program it. We program things. We only see the programming. We are not rewriting anything yet. We can, at most, walk alternative paths, bypassing the current programming. From 60 onwards, we can concern ourselves with reprogramming. An I has an identity. An I is interconnected with its programming it's running in. We can recognize a programming with that I, that individual or collective I, even a cosmic one. But an I executes the programming. An I experiences. A self runs through the program he is attached with. Programmer, program and programming are a trinity. To rewrite the program, we must assume a different identity. We can do this starting from dimension 5. But to escape one programming in 5D, a program, we always end up in another underlying different program. In the most favorable case, it can be a more suitable, an easier one, or a freer program. From 6D onwards, we focus on real programming. How do we do that in practice? We leave the programming, the thinking, to the higher self. We calm down our mind. We reduce our investment in conscious 3D and 4D programming focus. We become still, meditate, and open our ears to ascending thoughts and intentions. We allow the divine in. Naturally, the 3D, 4D mind cannot be silenced in one single day. That requires insights, effort, and perseverance. Here follows a possible partial solution or freer programming. We cannot leave the mind alone. The mind always operates within a program. Without a program, it is like a horse without reins. It will lead a life on its own. The I will pick a program and continue with living in that program. Control of the program is necessary, but a control from a higher dimension, a broader perspective. So, we propose you give your mind the next 4 tools. Choose certainty, choose clarity, choose freedom, and choose hope. We will explain more in the next videos.